I test gear for a living, and this year something finally shifted for me. I kept getting these products that looked beautiful, promised everything, and then failed in the most ridiculous ways. For example, these barefoot cycling shoes. Super comfy, great concept, except every time I go to clip in, my foot slides right off of the pedals. Terrifying. Embarrassing.
Dangerous.
Instantly relegated to the avoid at all cost pile. And once that happened, I realized something I didn't want to admit. Most of the gear I tried this year was forgettable, overhyped, and not worth using very much. Although, a few things did go the other direction. I'm revealing a refined list of things that actually earned their place in my life this year, and I guarantee you'll be surprised by the ones that made it. Unfortunately, the shoes weren't the only letdown this year. But it wasn't all dramatic failures and dangerous surprises. Some gear just faded out of my life like opportunity. Because my riding evolved, but the gear, it just didn't change with it. And the stuff that used to make sense until one day it just doesn't. It's not you, it's me. Handlebar bags fall exactly into that category. I used to love these things. I used to defend these things. At one point, they were practically a part of my personality. And then, nothing. And the handlebar bag instantly felt like the wrong tool for the job. It didn't break, it didn't fail, it just suddenly felt obsolete. And now I got a whole bin full of them, all perfectly good, I just never want one on my bike. And that's the real tension of this year. Most of the gear I touched, new or old, it just didn't stick. It either let me down, or it just wasn't how I wanted to ride anymore. But the handful that did stick, those earned their place. And the very first one is something that ended up saving me on more rides than I can even count. Basically depended on it. The first piece of gear that actually earned its keep this year, oddly enough, it was something I completely stopped using until on a whim I decided to bring it on my over 800-mile recent bikepacking mission. The little radar that became my entire sense of safety, the Garmin Varia. It alerts you to how many vehicles are coming up from behind on your head unit. All you gotta do is turn it on. And once you get used to that, riding without it feels wrong. Like riding without a helmet or forgetting your lucky crystal. On that trip, the Varia kept me up to speed on what was coming up from behind. They just kept coming. And that's exactly why this thing is now a companion, no longer an accessory. And the best part, the other MVP of the year is something that most of us already have. The head unit's ability to be able to move the map on the fly. To be able to visualize the route around something awful. This features on most modern head units. Hardly anybody talks about it, and hardly anybody uses it. But it saved my ass on more rides than I can count. Like on that long tour, when I'd hit some nightmare sketch a highway, I'd just move the route around and find a parallel route. Instant detour. Either way, the choice was mine. And once we get used to knowing that we can change our routes on the fly, it becomes an interactive choose your own adventure. No flashy gadgets. Well, actually, I think this is literally a flashy gadget. And that's the realization that informs this next category. Anyone else feel like January is reset season? The weather's garbage, the rides are short, and all I can think about is what's next. This is when I'll start planning exotic summer adventures. The routes, the ride, the places I want to explore. And honestly, that's what EF Adventures is perfect for. For example, I never believed that I would be able to go to the Tour de France, yet alone front and center riding the same climbs before the pros. That's what I got to do with EF Adventure. They handle everything. You just show up, your only responsibility, ride your bike. So while the weather's doing its wintering, now is the perfect time to plan something to look forward to. So take advantage of the downtime now, so when the summer hits, all you'll have to do is adventure. So hit the link down below to see which EF adventures are calling your name. You'll be glad you did. After safety, the next theme of this year, reliability. The kind of gear you never think about until the moment you absolutely need it. That's summed up perfectly with one thing. A simple, boring, mechanical pump. And of course, there's electric smart pumps that'll fill up your tire in 0.75 seconds. But honestly, every time I'm heading out the door on a ride, I reach for an analog pump. This is where I'm admittedly Luddite. No, why won't this turn on? Just a tiny metal tube that infinitely does its job without complaining. Wish I could say the same about myself. As a bonus, this 1-up pump also stores a plug and a multi-tool. For someone who forgets things on a professional level, that combination, priceless. Whatever bike I have this mounted to, I don't have to worry about anything else. That pump carries all the responsibility for me. But here's the thing. The tool in that pump is a backup, a safety net, but it's not really something you enjoy using. Unlike this next tool. It's the tool I prefer to use on rides, in the shop, everywhere. It's a tool I've owned forever, a tool that somehow remains perfect. The Topeak Ratchet Rocket. It's compact, it's satisfying to use. It has better leverage and feel than any tiny backup multi-tool in a pump ever could. No offense. Actually, this thing hits the G-spot. Gear spot. You sick son of a bitch. And if this year taught me anything, it's this. Gear that never dies always beats gear that tries to do something smart, which leads perfectly to the next category, because the next thing on this list was supposed to be overkill. This next piece of gear isn't even gear at all. Not officially. I mean, not according to the deep state cycling marketing machine that controls. I realized I needed a layer that didn't actually exist in cycling terms. Something warm, something breathable, something that didn't make me look like an amateur superhero. No, it's not this jacket. I'm just cold. I went neck deep on a middle management level merino wool turtleneck sweater. Not performance, not for cycling, just a sweater. And then I committed to wearing it for 11 straight days. No backup plan, no safety word, just pure, unadulterated confidence. Delusion. Ignorance. Experimentation. But here's the unbelievable part. It worked perfectly. It handled everything. Rain days, sleep, cold mornings, late arrivals. It became the single most versatile piece of clothing in my entire kit. And this is from a former cycling apparel designer. It reminded me that the right cycling apparel doesn't have to be cycling at all. It's just gotta do the job. That's pretty much the real requirement. But we can take that lesson to a full look. Merino top, bibs with overshorts, and a fanny pack. If unconventional cycling gear is tickling your fancy, feel free to subscribe. That's all we're gonna tickle here. Now that we've covered the unexpected, let's dive into the overkill. The stuff that should have been unnecessary, but somehow became essential. I kind of thought of this as a nerdy science project. An experimental setup I never thought I'd want, yet alone rely on. At first glance, it seems like something you'd see on a Reddit forum, or the front wheel of an opinionated friend who dumpsters all their meals. In theory, amazing. But isn't it impractical in real life? Which is exactly what I thought, until I started using it. And that's where the Dynamo hub paired with the sine wave beacon revealed an inner truth. Having a light that's always on when you're riding and the ability to charge a battery pack anywhere is one of the most underrated luxuries in bikepacking. No? Oh, did I bring that charger? Just endless power, endless light, endless peace of mind. But that's the trick with a Dynamo. They live on my long-haul big mission bike. When I'm doing regular gravel rides, I want something completely different. And speaking of, this next piece might be the most controversial thing on this whole list. Because for some reason, deep dish wheels and gravel are never supposed to mix. At all. For some reason. Yet here we are. Welcome to the deep, wide, ridiculous reality that is the Zip 303 Explore wheels. They look like someone dared a road wheel to survive the Great Divide. And it said, "You're on." I got into cycling through the early days of track bikes. So deep dish rims hit some special sort of something in my brain. But these wheels aren't just good looking, they're legit. They're fast, they're stable, they make every bike they're on look like it knows what it's doing. And they're expensive, obviously, painfully. They're also only one of the pricey things on this list that actually felt worth it. Although, if you don't care about dimples, the S version is the exact same wheel, it's just smoother, and it'll save you a couple $100. And I know you're gonna ask, so I'll put links to what I can find down below.
Tell me about your glasses.
This one, potentially the most unexpected, although the most universally relatable. I mean, technically, it's not even cycling gear. It's just midlife doing whatever midlife does. At some point during the last year, nostalgia stepped up and slapped me upside the head. In the form of the largest influence of my life, 90s skate culture. Tiny wheels, Big Brother magazine, and shoes with more tongues than you can shake a stick at. And luckily for all of us that used to skate, brands have started reissuing some of the classics. Like the shoes we either destroyed as kids or couldn't afford. They're back. So I picked up a pair. Or three. You know, one of those late night moments fueled entirely by emotion, not logic, and somehow, it's what makes everything right in the world. Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. Ooh, I'm curious. What's your nostalgic simple pleasure? Now, this brings us to the fatal five. Out of all the things I tested, broke, ignored, or rediscovered, I would save if I had to burn my entire gear closet to the ground. Merino wool base layer. Warm, soft, reliable. It works in every temperature, somehow never gets gross, and if I could wear one thing under everything, this is it. Prescription riding glasses. Because being able to see, wildly underrated. Number 3, a neck buff. The simplest, highest value item in cycling. It blocks sun, wind, dust, stink. It's essential and available in the EBD gear shop. Gore distance bibs with overshorts. Pockets, civilian, utilitarian, which is the highest compliment I can give any apparel. The Topic Ratchet Rocket, the little tool that refuses to die. If all my tools vanish tomorrow, that's the first thing I'd replace. I like this exercise. These are the 5 backbone. Everything else is bonus, but those, foundational. Curious to see how it'll change next year. Or if it will change. Now, if you're a skeptic like me and you'd like a little bit of proof that I have put some of this stuff through the ringer and found those that rose to the top, you'll have to check out this video, where I pack it all up and hit for the high seas. Ride all the way to San Francisco. Yeah, 11 days. It was over 800 miles. It was crazy. You know, the gnarliest part was when this